Hi, this is Aida with Love Built Life,
And hey, this is William with My Quest to Teach.
and we are here at Wordfest 2021. We're so excited to come to you today, and we're thanking you at Wordfest for allowing William and I to come and share with you. So let's get started.
Yes. So we're going to talk about creating, developing, and implementing a virtual meetup for kids.
Yay!
That's right, kids, not the adults. Adults, y'all have your own room when y'all meet up, but this is for the kids so they can feel as important as you do.
Right. So we're going to be talking about not just the meetups, but also the kids camps.
Yes.
So what we do at kids camp. So we inspire the teens and the youth and the little kids to be engaged with WordPress and the WordCamp community, even after the conference.
So looking at this first picture, this is when we volunteered in Costa Rica.
Yay.
I think that's Aida's favorite place to go.
Yeah.
And we volunteered with the kids down there, and we had a wonderful time. And that gave us some ideas on how to integrate STEM and STEAM into a kids camp to help them learn and do hands-on activities to really bolster their development of content, so they understood what content was, and then they can understand how they apply it to web development or blogging or potting or microblogging.
Absolutely. And this was, yes, it was it is one of my favorite because it is in Costa Rica, which is beautiful. But a kids camp in Costa Rica was my first time actually volunteering at a kids camp. So it was a great experience, and the teachers were great, and it was great learning from them.
So we're going to start with understanding the who, and that's very important because you have to contact this young lady right here, Sandy Edwards at WordCamp Central, to really understand and coordinate how you can use and access the policies and procedures to safely have a kids meetup online, which is very important because there are policies for kids camp as well. So the first primary thing is the safety of our kids.
Right. So we want to make sure that you get a background check, that you clear it with WordCamp Central, and she'll make sure that all the clearances is fine. There is a manual online too that you can follow. It's just a guideline if you want to do a kids camp, but the WordPress Meetup is something new. So those will be included in later manuals, but you want to contact her first. Generally, we try to use the age range between 7 and 15. Now, that can be tricky because if you have much older kids and you have much younger kids, you have to find something that's engaging for all those ages. But and also some of those kids are more advanced. We have some 7, 8-year-olds that are really, really advanced, and some 15-year-olds who are just starting out. So you really want to consider who it is that you're teaching and what are their needs. And sometimes you may have to integrate both and give the people that are more advanced an opportunity to help those younger kids or older kids sometimes. And those that need more help, you may want to do some extra stuff for them.
And this helps all of them be a part of the WordPress and WordCamp community because it's really cool when you see kids with their parents or even with their grandparents and they're hanging out and they're learning, but they may not really feel fully involved, but a kids camp helps them feel really involved in the community that we really enjoy and love.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with the special needs, there are some kids that will come that will have special needs. So you want to consider them as well. So accessibility is something we consider also in kids camp, and getting those kids and those parents involved at the kids camp, but also at the meetup. So we do have an opportunity when we have our meetup, our rooms, the way we have them set up, the kids are in one room and the parents are in the room right next door. So the parents are always welcome to come and sit in or peek in, and the kids can also peek in and see what the parents are doing.
So the why, this is an extensive list of the why, and yours may be a little bit different. So these are just little guidelines and strategies. So again, like we said, continue the excitement of a WordCamp for the youth. And they know that this is their contribution that is directly related to them. And the art of content creation, why content is important, that their content is just as important as their parents. And they can be creative, they can be innovative, they can be all of those as well. And teaching the youth about their brand, how their brand can elevate their voice, because they hear a lot going on around them. And, sometimes they wonder if they actually have a voice with things that are going on in the community around them. And in our community, we talk about democratizing the web, and sometimes they may not understand that. So it's a good idea to explain what those words and concepts are, and the power of the written word and spoken word. Yes, they get to write in school. Yes, they get to talk in school a little bit, but we're not dealing with school. We're dealing with fun, community, and friendship and networking. So they have to understand too that their power comes in their written and spoken word as well.
Right. And also integrating video. So a lot of these kids are already watching things on Twitch and YouTube and TikTok. So showing them that they can share the excitement that they have for all of their activities and their hobbies, or even something offline. So maybe they love soccer, maybe they love swimming, a sport, cooking. That we give them an opportunity to share what they love online and hopefully share it with some friends, given that their parents agree.
And then continuing the why, understand what conferences actually are. So it may not necessarily be WordCamp conferences, but other conferences that parents are going to. And the more they go, don't be surprised if the kids are like, Mom, Dad, or Grandma, can we go to this conference? Can we go to that conference? And it helps broaden their horizons of being engaged with other subject areas. And teaching and networking, it teaches them the value of networking. One of the things Aida and I love to do during kids camp was allowing the kids with their parents to go out and talk to the speakers and the volunteers and the vendors. They love talking to the vendors and taking pictures with them, because then they can talk about their products and their services. So sometimes kids don't get a chance to do that, but at kids camp and during word camps, they are more empowered to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And we integrate the STEM, STEAM stream. So, honey, you want to tell them what STEM is?
STEM. Yes. STEM is like on the little flowers. Oh, no, not that. Oh, STEM. I'm sorry. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. That is STEM. STEAM is a little bit more advanced, because when you put a pot of water on the stove and you turn it. Yeah. Oh, no, not that STEAM. Funny. Oh, STEAM. Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
That's where I come in.
That's where you come in.
Yeah. And then STREAM is science, technology, reading, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And and you can add anything that you want. When I do arts, especially when I'm teaching in schools, I do arts and humanities, so that kids know that it's beyond just visual art. And it can be beyond visual art. We include music, we include writing. So you want to think beyond that. One of the M's that I heard recently was manufacturing. So think more, not just in a tiny little box, but think beyond that in ways that you can help them see beyond that too. Right. Because we don't want this to be school.
Right.
This isn't school.
This isn't school. This is something just for the youth. And the youth at heart too. We've had some parents peek in and say, I want to participate. So we let them in for a little bit. Then we kick them back out to go.
No.
With the
Well, in kids camp, parents need to be present. So, and at the meetups, we want the parents to be present if they can be. But at the very least, the parent is present at the meetup. So they're right next door, or they're in the room, or nearby, where they can hear what it is that we're teaching or what you're going to be teaching. And they can hear the kids participating. So we want to make sure that we definitely have that parent involvement throughout.
And of course, it's important to talk a little bit about internet safety. And depending on the maturity level of the kids that are there, internet safety is very important. So make sure you have a plan and resources to share with them why internet safety is important, because the internet does represent the world that we live in. So there's good parts and bad parts, fun parts and scary parts. So we have to be sure that we teach them some valuable skills.
Yes. And WordPress.com, you need to be 14 and older. So that, again, we're talking about parents being involved if that's what you're going to be doing as far as helping them do a blog. But at WordCamps, Sandy has a special thing, and that'll be in the manual that she's worked out with some of the vendors so that they can start out with a blog online that's private. Yeah. So.
All right. Parent involvement is key. So parents, make sure you are sure that you want to take your kids and participate, because this isn't babysitting. It's really getting the youth and kids involved in our community to make sure that they feel a part of our community. So it's important that you coordinate with the person that's managing your meetup, and you talk to them first about the ideas that you want to implement. Figure out the date and time and location of the adult meetup, so you can coordinate with the adult meetup with the kids meetup as well. Contact the parents. Aida and I, when we started, we made sure we contacted the parents that were involved in our community, so that they knew here's something that their children can be a part of. And as Aida said, we're right next door, and they can come in and sit and watch and participate. But that communication is very important. And you can also contact the schools, the technology person at that particular school, whether it's a elementary school or middle school, I'm sure are going to be more than happy to work with you, but the parents have to be involved.
Yeah, and again, because of that, so that you know you are not the babysitter. You are here to provide some information, some fun, some what's that?
Excitement,
Excitement, yeah.
inspiration,
So inspiration.
food.
So you're here,
Oh yeah,
right?
food.
Well, for the in-person meetups, and we're lucky enough that our in-person meetup, there's always someone who sponsors food. So that makes it great for parents, when they feel like, oh man, I have to go to this meetup now. What am I going to do? I still got to cook dinner. Well, at ours, we have something for them to eat, for them and for the kids. So as long as we know in advance, there's more than enough food for everyone to eat and share.
Yes. And with COVID going away slowly, check the type of format. Is it going to be in person? Is it going to be online? And that's very important too, because then you figure out how you're going to connect with the students. I say students because we're teachers. How are you going to connect with the youth? How are you going to communicate with them? And find ways to be creative with your advertising. There's different ways to advertise as well.
Right. So even if we meet online, we would definitely want to keep in person, we would still want to keep the online format, especially for accessibility. Everyone can't make it to an in-person meetup. And what we found doing the WP Jacks Kids is that the kids really love coming. Mm-hmm. So if they can't come in person, at least they can come online and be a part of the whole experience.
So be a voice, not an echo. That means that our young people do have a voice, and the earlier age that they can understand that their voice has power and their voice has influence is a good thing. Now, we're talking about a voice for positive change, positive participation on social issues. So if you have those types of conversations with your children, this is a valuable resource to understand, for them to understand that when they're talking about things that are going on in the world, that someone does take the time to listen to them. And in our community, even though we're heavily involved in technology, we do talk about social issues, and we do talk about how we can make our community better.
Yeah. Or they could just share what they love. So we have 3 of our kids here who are a little older, and they have blogs online, and they're sharing what it is that they love. So this is one of them loves technology, the other one shares recipes, another one shares fashion.
So the when and the where, as we talked about, check where your WP meetups are going to be held. This is our community, and we're very flexible depending on the situations and circumstances. Coordinate again with parents. Check for the conflicts in time, because some kids are involved in sports. Some kids are involved in after-school activities. And some kids are just doing different things that they enjoy to do with family. Family time is very important. So it's important to check that as well. And meal times. You really don't want to put a damper on meal times, because that's a family times as well. And vacation is important as well. So as you schedule your times and your location, make sure you take in each of those in consideration.
And consider being flexible. So it may be every 3rd Tuesday, but then over the summer that might change. Or it may be on the weekends. So we generally try not to do anything on the weekends, mainly because we do a lot on the weekends, but it may change. So just be flexible with your kids and with your parents.
So tech is changing the way we all engage, how we interact with each other, how we inspire each other with our content. So we're talking digitally and vocally. So use the technology that's available and explore some new tech that you can use and teach the young people. They want to be able to be versatile, and they want to see the evolution of technology. So use the tools that you have and network and coordinate with others that you can bring in as speakers as well. Don't think you have to do it all by yourself. Aida and I, on occasion, we talk to other adults that are in our WordCamp community to get ideas and suggestions. And we also always talk to the kids that are there. What do they want to learn? What are they into? And how we can be a resource to them.
Yeah. So when we did one of the series, we did a series of learning about the planets and learning about the universe. But we always ask the kids, well, what planet do you want to learn about next? And then when we got to the end of the series, we're like, well, we've explored all the planets. What do you guys want to do next? So, and there are other technologies out there. So it's not just doing a blog. So you can go to NASA and you can help the kids explore Mars. You can watch videos, SpaceX, right?
Yes. Content creators, we are all content creators in one way or another. And because there are so many diverse platforms, just don't feel that you're limited. One important thing to remember is when you're using a platform, make sure it's age appropriate, because your content is really important. Your young people that are involved, their content is important as well. But they're going to be authentic, they're going to be meaningful, but make sure that they still have access to that content. So it's always a good idea to check the age limits, the requirements necessary. Finding and researching platforms is not that hard, but it does take a little research, and also talking with their parents as well.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to share your content as long as it's age appropriate so that they can see that you are involved in the WordPress community, that you're involved in WordCamps. Maybe you're a business person, you can share some of that. If you have a blog and it is age appropriate, you can share your blog with them so that they can see the application in real time and in real life. That this isn't just like something you learned in school that you'll never use again. This is something that we're hoping they're going to get involved in, and in the future also be a part of the WordPress community.
And here we have some hands-on resources on the right. When we were talking about the planets, as Aida was talking about, there is a resource on YouTube called Mr. DeMayo, and he has some really cool videos. They're strange, they're funny.
Yeah.
There's a puppet involved. No clowns, because we know some people are scared of clowns, but it's really information at a youth level that makes them laugh. But it really has some fantastic facts about the Earth and about the planets. Another great resource, if you're talking about health education, is kidshealth.org. And that is a wonderful place because you learn about the body and how the body works with really cool cartoons.
Yeah, and it's in English and in Spanish. That's what I like about that. So you can do it in two languages. Like I mentioned before, NASA has some great resources, but then there's other things. You can do polls online. We found out from WordCamp Central America that there's like so you could choose the random kids if you want to break them up into two different teams. And there's a wheel that'll do that. You just punch in the names of the kids and they spin the wheel, and then that'll determine what teams they're on. Think about that too, like doing some competition. We've done binary code with the kids and had them write secret code to each other and see how if they could figure out what the code was just using the binary letters.
And there's diversity in your content creation as well. So it's important to reach out to the community and find people in business and industry that are involved in different types of technology, robotics, coding, and bring them in and let the kids see the diversity of the careers that are out there, and that their content can be diverse. One of the fun things Aida and I were talking about, there was this guy from what is that city? Miami in South Florida. I think his name was David something. David Bassett. That's yeah. And he used a wonderful program called Kahoot. And you can do a lot of things with Kahoot online to involve the kids with their cell phones or their tablets. So be creative, use the diversity that's out there, have the kids contribute as well with the learning, and even ask them, would they like to teach the kids camp or the meetup at a particular time. So this is the way you inspire the kids, because sometimes they may be shy. It may be hard for them to express themselves, but gradually, the more you do it, you draw them out, and they'll be inspired and they'll be happy, and they'll thank you.
Right. There's a saying that says, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if you really are excited about teaching children and about teaching youth, and they see the excitement and the enthusiasm in your voice, and we're silly, we get animated together, we get animated with the kids. One time we had for Halloween, I used a little ghost puppet, and he was the one that was talking, and it was silly. But they loved it and they remembered it. So, don't be afraid to show them, listen, I really care and I'm really enthusiastic about this. And you'd be surprised. We've had kids who are autistic, who never participated before. And their parents have told us, wow, my son or my daughter has never done this before. And look at them speaking. We've had kids who wouldn't speak at all in the beginning of a word camp or in a kids camp or in the beginning, and then now when they see us, they're like, oh, hey, how are you? And then they're animated and excited to see us. So you can make a difference and make an impact.
So words have power. So use your words carefully. Make sure that you're using words that encourage them, that inspire them, that help them to grow, that expand their thought process, and even towards careers in the future, because at the younger age as possible, young kids will remember, as Aida said, how you inspire them and how you engage them in conversations and talking to them. A good idea too is not to talk to them like kids, but talk to them as they are equal part of our community, because in the way they are, because the future of WordPress and WordCamp is the community and the young people that are part of it.
Yeah, sometimes what we'll do is we'll ask them, what do they want to be? So if they want to be a doctor, we'll refer to them as doctor. If they want to be a chef, we'll refer to them as chef, so that they know that we see them as more than just some little kid.
We talk about Google and hashtagging yourself because we talk about branding, and branding is real important. They hear the terms branding, they hear marketing, they hear SEO, they hear so many terms, and they may not understand it at the time, but in the back of their mind, they're probably wondering, what does that mean? So one of the important things is to get them to understand the importance of Google searching, their branding, marketing, and the hashtags that they use online. And we'll do an example online where we'll Google ourselves to show the type of content that comes up and the power and influence that content can have on their lives now and in the future. So when we're talking about the viability of their content that they're creating and how visible they are in the future, and what people see and how that manages perception and the believability of what they can actually do is important as well, because as they grow in content creation, they're going to expand more and more in what they're doing. And one day they might follow you or someone that they met into a business in technology or be an entrepreneur.
So the kids are definitely into looking on Google, and that is, again, internet safety. You want to talk about internet safety during that part, and also about copyright protections, that you can't just grab pictures and videos off the internet. So it's important for you to know that before you start grabbing stuff off the online. There are websites that you can go to that the content is free and easy enough for them to use, and that you can put a safety feature so that you're not inadvertently exposing the children to bad pictures.
So we have the concepts: collaboration, teaching kids to work together, as in our WordPress community; researching online, how to use the research skills; branding and marketing, as we touched on a little bit. Their brand is their name. How important and valuable is it to keep their name in a good light? Marketing themselves the right way using social media platforms, blogging and podding, and it's expanding. So we have TikToking, YouTubing, all these different platforms. So talking to them about it so they get a better picture of how they can use it, possible careers, how they can take advantage of what they can do as a young person is really important, because it helps them manage the content and information. And as Aida was saying, it helps keep them safe online as well. So we are happy that we were able to share some information with you about doing a kids camp and hopefully in the future a WP Kids Meetup in your area, your location, your city. And it's a lot of fun. It's work. You don't have to be a teacher. You just have to be passionate about our community. And you have to make sure that this is something you want to continue once you start it.
Yep. And like we said before, you don't have to do it alone. So, best to get yourself a team. We tag teams. Sometimes I'm doing it, sometimes he's doing it, sometimes we're doing it together. And we do ask other adults if they want to come and share some information. So don't think that you have to do this alone. And don't think that it's only blogging. It can be any number of things. Like we mentioned before, we integrate STEAM and STEM. But if you're a business person and you want to teach kids how to be young entrepreneurs, that's another thing that you could do. So be creative. And if you have any questions, we're here for you. And you can reach out to us. And I am reachable at most platforms as at Love Built Life.
And you can reach me at My Quest to Teach. So as Aida said, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Clubhouse, Facebook. So TikTok. Just do a search for us and TikTok. I can barely dance. TikTok.
So we thank you so much for listening to us. And again, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. This is Aida.
And this is William.
And thank you so much for coming to WordFest.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.